We all know the hospitals have wings in buildings that are closed. Doctors are far and few between, right? And as far as the infrastructure of any city, I'll talk about my hometown right here in Montreal. Bridges collapsing, roads cracking, sidewalks a mess, buildings falling. So the whole idea that the government tried to sell the idea of gambling to Joe and Mrs. Joe Citizen, to me, it's only to me, my opinion, it's a farce. It's a farce. Billions, and I'm talking about by this time now, after 17 years, tens and tens and tens of billions of dollars the government has taken in. And where's the money? Let alone the damage it's done to people. You know, it's the same government that's running the gambling world, which is causing people to commit suicide, causing bankruptcies, personal and commercial bankruptcies. It's the same government which is causing family strife, right? And I just wonder how they can actually go to bed at night, meaning the government, and go to bed at night with a clear conscience, knowing that on one hand there's so much money they're making and taking in, but on the other hand, how much damage they're doing. And I just find it to really be incredibly irresponsible of them to be doing that. And of course, one other aspect of the world of gambling, again here in Quebec, that you have to keep in mind, or any province in Quebec actually, is they're the only ones allowed to run the gambling world, meaning not that gambling in Atlantic City or in Las Vegas is better, but of course everybody knows from, you know, Economy 101 that when there's competition, it's run a little bit tighter and better for the citizen or for the consumer, meaning that McDonald's usually opens up when there's a Burger King across the street or there's a Wendy's, right? And everyone tries to vie for the customer, or a gas station, you know, lowering the price of gas by 1/10 of a penny, whatever. And in Vegas and Atlantic City, and other cities of course as well, when there's competition, you get a bit more. You get a bit more bang for your buck. The consumer is almost cared for in a more caring way. In Las Vegas, for instance, when you have 8 or 10 of the biggies competing for your dollar, it's run a bit smoother. And I suppose for Joe Citizen, who's going to lose the $100, he might get more bang for his buck, which is fine because it's a vacation. And if he is going to go, or if she is going to go gambling, at least they can extrapolate more for their money. Here in Montreal, without being funny, you mean you can't get a Diet Coke unless you blow your brains out financially. And again, with no competition, they can do that, right? Imagine if there was only one tobacco company making one brand of cigarettes and you were a smoker. You'd have to smoke that cigarette. No competition. But there is competition. You know, if Honda was the only car company and you wanted to buy a car, you would buy a Honda and you'd have no choice. Competition is good. And that's why it's also, to me, a heinous crime that in Quebec or any province in Canada, there is no competition allowed in the world of gambling because the casinos and the lotteries have a hold on it by each individual province, which to me just makes the whole thing worse. That's all it is. So it's a very, very important thing that I want everyone to keep in mind, that it is in fact the government who has the stranglehold on this entire industry, and the amounts of money and the gobs of money that has been taken in by them is scary. As I mentioned a few episodes ago, in Canada alone, not Quebec, in Canada, it has now become a 30 plus billion, with a B, a $30 billion industry, which is mind-boggling. I mean, 30 or $35 billion after tax money. In the States, as I think I mentioned a few episodes ago as well, it's now almost $500 billion. That's $500 billion. Could you imagine, from everybody just putting money in the machines and playing cards, $500 billion? Can you count that high? Can anybody fathom how much money that is? And again, where's the money? Gambling is not going anywhere. We have to learn how to deal with it. And that's really our problem, because we're not going to get help from anybody else, and that's it. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate your time you've taken out to watch this show. And just remember, when it comes to the world of gambling, it really isn't how many times you fall, it's how many times you get up. Thank you, and we'll see you right here again next week. Have a good week.